Well, good evening, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Katie McKnight, and I'm the Chamber of Commerce President, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the Candidates Forum this evening. The Chamber has traditionally hosted a public forum for state races, but this year, due to COVID, we decided to expand our forum to the local races as well, because we do have this virtual platform available to us and the conference space available to us as well. I certainly want to thank the candidates for being here this evening. I know this is something a little different for each of you. We certainly could have not done it without you, and appreciate your time and sharing your message tonight. I also want to thank the committee of the Chamber of Commerce Board who organized this event, and also our partners in the event, which are the Ironton Tribune and Armstrong Cable. So thank you so much for each person that made this event possible this evening. Before we begin, we would like to rise and do the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you could join me in that, and we'll get a flag, I think, on the screen. All right, I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States
of America,
to the republic
for which it stands,
one
nation, under God, indivisible, with
liberty and justice
for all.
Thank you, everyone. I think the delays in our Zooms made that a nice little chorus there. So thank you for joining me in that. And Shirley, is Doug Pinkerman here to do the invocation?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Doug, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Let us open up with a word of prayer, please. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day that you have created and for all the many blessings you have bestowed upon us. As we prepare for these November 2020 local elections, send the light of your Spirit into the hearts of everyone in Lawrence County. Wake us up to a strong desire to work for the common good of our proud people. Help us to remember that it's not about Republicans, it's not about Democrats, it's not about independents. It's about doing right by this great county, but most importantly, it's about glorifying the name of your Son, Jesus. Enable us to differ and to speak with reverence and respect for one another in this forum. I pray that you will open up the gates of heaven and pour out upon the people of Lawrence County a spirit of wisdom and discernment to help choose not just a government official, but the right government officials to lead our area in the path of justice, truth, and peace. Because without you, Father, we would have no government. All things we ask it in accordance of your will. It is in the holy name of Jesus that Lawrence County will always pray. Amen.
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 Thank you, Doug, for leading us in that. I think it certainly sets the tone for the evening, so thank you. It is now my pleasure to introduce Sarah Simmons, who is the General Manager of the Ironton Tribune and is also a Chamber of Commerce board member, who's going to be moderating our forum tonight. So thank you, Sarah, for leading us through it, and good luck to all the candidates.
I'd like to welcome you all and thank you for committing to attend and engage with our voters. Thank you to Armstrong for filming and the Lawrence County Chamber of Commerce for hosting this important event. We'll be covering 6 races this evening, including Lawrence County Commissioner, Sheriff, Recorder, Treasurer, Auditor, and Common Pleas Court Judge. We ask that if you are not answering a question, that you remain on mute until you're ready to speak. And we'll start off by giving each candidate 2 minutes to tell us a bit about themselves and for which position they're running before launching into question. After we've concluded the question and answer portion of the forum, each candidate will be given an additional 2 minutes to reiterate their stances, which will conclude the evening. So let's start with Auditor candidate Paul David Knipp.
Sorry, I was having trouble getting it unmuted there. My name is Paul Knipp. I am the Lawrence County Auditor, currently sitting as the Auditor. I'm the Republican candidate on the ballot this fall. I was appointed in October of 2019, and I've been serving the position for almost 1 year at this point. I'm seeking election this fall. Prior to serving as the county auditor, I was a school board member for the Rock Hill Local School District, serving almost 10 years. I would have been 10 years had I not gotten appointed to this position. I was a practicing attorney most recently as an assistant prosecutor in Jackson County, Ohio. handling all sorts of cases, civil practice, a little bit for the office, as well as felony criminal practice. Prior to my service as an assistant prosecutor in Jackson, I was in the private practice representing all sorts of cases, estate planning, a little bit of everything, general practice. I'm married, have 3 kids, attend Memory Baptist Church, where hopefully I'm considered a faithful member, and I can't wait till we get over all of the COVID and return to normalcy so we can return to practicing our faith as we should.
Thank you. And now let's go to commissioner candidates, and we'll start with Colton Copley.
Thank you. My name is Colton Copley, and I want to first start by thanking the Chamber and the Ironton Tribune for hosting tonight's forum. Also want to, I'd be remiss not to recognize my beautiful wife, Bethany, and who's my constant supporter and incredible mother of my 5 children. I am a lifelong resident of Lawrence County. I grew up in South Point, Ohio, and me and my wife and my 5 children currently live in South Point. I serve currently as your county commissioner, and I also am an emergency room physician at Cabell Huntington Hospital. I take pride in serving my county, and I take pride in the positions that I have served while being your commissioner. The conversations I've had with many of you on your front porch or at a community event about things that are important to you and how I can shape the future of the county. It was nearly 2 years ago that I was appointed to commissioner by the Central Committee of the Republican Party, and I've proudly served in that position since then. That night I told them that I would bring the party together, I would bring the community together, and that the vision that had held back progress in Lawrence County would be a thing of the past. And I think that over the past 2 years, together with the leadership in the county, we've been able to do that. And so I ask for your support on November 3rd. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Deanna Holiday?
Good. First, I just wanted to say thank you and give a shout out to the Chamber of Commerce, the Ironton Tribune, and Armstrong Cable for the collaboration of this event here tonight. We certainly appreciate the opportunity to speak to the residents of Lawrence County. So I am Deanna Holiday, and I currently serve as president of the Lawrence County Commission. You might say that I am obnoxiously proud of our county and the direction that we are headed. My desire to serve you is fueled by our youth, our seniors, our veterans, and everyone in between. I work hard to advance and ensure a good quality of life for all people in our county. Much of my time is spent traveling throughout the county, meeting and hearing from you, the residents of Lawrence County. I also traveled to Columbus, where I was elected to serve the State Board of Directors on the State of Ohio County Commission Association. I am very proud to tell the unique stories of Lawrence County. I stand up for our needs and our fair share. I serve boards throughout the tri-state area. You can be very confident that with me as your commissioner, Lawrence County has a seat at the table locally, in the tri-state, and at the state level. I hold some other important titles in my life, and there's 3 very important ones, and that is wife, mom, and Mimi. I live in Deering with my husband, Sean, and we operate a business that runs 6 generations deep here in our county. I have 3 sons, Clint, Cody, and PJ, and 2 beautiful daughter-in-laws, Lauren and Shanna. And I am Mimi to 2 amazing, awesome grandbabies, Knox and Skylar. I'm running to serve you for a 2nd term as County Commissioner. I have a grand vision for Lawrence County that includes strengthening our infrastructure, creating jobs and opportunities, growing our population, and protecting the financial health of our county. I humbly ask for your support for re-election on November 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you. Now let's hear from Court of Common Pleas candidate, Patricia Sanders.
Thank you. I do appreciate the opportunity to speak with everyone tonight and answer some questions. My name is Trish Sanders. I am your probate juvenile judge. I was appointed by Governor DeWine to fill the vacancy left by Judge Payne, who retired last year. So I've been in this position now for just over a year. Prior to my appointment, I was a magistrate in this court for almost 17 years. Prior to that, or I guess in addition to that, I practiced here in Lawrence County for almost 24 years, where I've been a practicing attorney prior to taking the bench. In addition to my judicial duties, I currently, come January, will have 19 years of service in the military. I hope to retire after I hit the 20-year mark. In addition to sitting as the probate juvenile judge, I'm also the board president for the Hocking Valley Residential Community Center in Hocking Valley, which handles felony offending youth who are not sent to DYS. So I am very passionate about our youth and our children and families in Lawrence County, and I'm working towards helping to get with the children and the families prior to their court involvement. And we're working on some intervention programs. We've got a pilot program with the elementary schools that we hope to kick off in the next week or two to curb truancy issues. So I look forward to meeting everyone and ask for your support in this election. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll hear from recorder candidate Sharon Gossett Hager.
Good evening. My name is Sharon Gossett Hager, and I am asking for your continued support as I seek another term as the Lawrence County Recorder. First of all, I want to thank the Chamber for hosting this event, as well as the Tribune and Armstrong Cable. When I'm asked to speak politically about my position or experience, in the past, I've normally just spoken from my heart. I never bring notes. However, this time is a little different for me. I'm a little emotional tonight because this will be my last opportunity to speak in this forum as a candidate. Musicians will often talk about their farewell tour. Well, this is going to be my farewell term. So today, I am going to rely on notes so I can stick to the points, especially I thought I had 10 minutes, so I've got more notes than I've got time. So I just want to say that I was appointed January the 12th, 2004 by the Lawrence County Republican Central Committee to fulfill the expiring term of Sue Deeds, who retired early actually. I did run successful campaigns in 2004 and 2008, and I ran unopposed in 2012 and 16, and thankfully I am unopposed in 2020. 16 years ago, I pledged to continue the courteous, efficient service that Lawrence County deserves, and I believe that I have honored that pledge, and I'm blessed to have been on this journey with the support of loyal friends and family employees. Next to being a Christian, a wife, and a mother, and a nana, my position as county recorder has been the highlight of my life. I believe I serve within honesty and integrity and have been a good steward of the county's money. During each term, I succeeded in fulfilling a personal goal of doing a major improvement to the office, and it's one of my proudest moments to do that. So I ask for your support, and it's just been wonderful. I have been blessed to be on this journey. Thank you.
Now we'll hear from sheriff candidates, and we'll start with Jeff Wallace.
Good evening. I am Jeff Lawless, and I am your sheriff. I am 55 years old, and I'm a lifelong resident of Lawrence County. I am married to my beautiful wife and best friend, Lana. We've been married for 35 years. We have 2 sons, a daughter-in-law. I have a future daughter-in-law in the making, a grandson, and my future daughter-in-law has a daughter. I've been in law enforcement for 34 years. and I've held almost every position at the sheriff's office since I started. I've been a dispatcher, a corrections officer, a corporal, jail administrator, and I'm a certified jail administrator, major, chief deputy, and sheriff. I was elected sheriff in 2008, and I have strived hard to serve the citizens with all their needs. I am a member of Lawrence Lodge 198 of the Free and Accepted Masons, the Ironton Lions Club, the Lawrence County Chamber of Commerce, and the Buckeye State Sheriff's Association, as well as the National Sheriff's Association. I am a Christian and a member and attending member of the West Ironton Church of the Nazarene. I have proven to be fiscally responsible with the taxpayers' money by working within my budget year after year and providing high-quality law enforcement services. I have always been transparent in my operation. I have worked tirelessly to keep the jail in operation. I have begged and borrowed from nearly every sheriff in this state in order to save the taxpayers' money and keep the jail going. I led the largest manhunt in Lawrence County history and brought a quadruple murderer to justice. I love Lawrence County. Anybody that knows me, when I travel to different cities into Columbus, I'm always bragging about how beautiful Lawrence County is. And I care about the citizens of this county, and I strive hard every day to keep this county safe. I humbly and respectfully ask for your vote November 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll hear from Joe Ross.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me here today. My name is Joe Ross. I'm running for the Sheriff of Lawrence County. I am 55 years old. I've lived most of my life here in Cold Grove. I graduated from Cold Grove in 1984. I attended Urbana University and Morehead State University, a year apiece there. I have been a veteran. I've served 6 years in the Ohio National Guard at the Armory in Ironton. Not only serving my country, but I served my community for 6 years at that time. I am currently employed by the Ironton Police Department. I have been employed at the Ironton Police Department since 1996. I am currently the lead detective, have been the lead detective for the past 8 years. I am also a CCW instructor. I have taught many CCW classes. I'm a firearms instructor of the police department. I have also been the president of our local lodge, Local Lodge 75. I've been a member of that for the last 24 years, 25 years since I've been at Ironton. On a daily basis, I go out, I've served the citizens of Ironton since 1996. I love my job. I've been involved in numerous criminal cases, murders, rapes, put people in jail every day. I love my job. I love the people of Lawrence County. I love being a police officer. And I think that the county is ready for a change. And I'm asking for your vote come November 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll hear from treasurer candidates, and we'll start with Tressa Baker.
Okay, I think I've got that. Hi, I'm Teresa Baker, and I am the Republican candidate for Lawrence County Treasurer. This is my first time into politics, so I've learned a lot over the last year, but I have an excellent background for the position of treasurer. I'm a lifelong resident of Lawrence County. I was raised on Aarons Creek in the Arabia Waterloo area. I'm the youngest of 8 kids raised by our single mom, Emma Jean Swango. We grew up poor. I totally understand what it means to have zero financial wealth and to work hard to make a life. I am a 1981 graduate of Sims Valley, and the summer after graduation, I married my high school sweetheart, Darren, and we have been married 39 years. We have 2 children, Casey, who's married to Jennifer Whaley from Ironton, and Emma, who is married to Eric France. They live in Columbus. And we have 5 grandkids, Liam, Annabelle, Kate, Calvin and Asa, have to get their names in there. I'm a member of the Church of Christ, have been for 35 years. After marriage, I worked. Like I said, we had no money, we had to work, and I went to school at night. I got my undergraduate degree from Ohio University and my Master's of Business Administration from Morehead State. I am a certified public accountant in the state of Ohio since 2006. My financial background mainly is as school treasurer for 30 years at both the Fairland and South Point school districts. And during that time, those 3 decades as a school treasurer, I have successfully managed multi-million-dollar budgets funded by taxpayers. I am keenly aware of my responsibility to taxpayers. I receive continuing education and training through
Thank you. That's time. I'm sorry. And now we'll hear from Stephen Dale Burcham.
Good evening, and thank you. I am Stephen Dale Burcham. I am the Lawrence County Treasurer. I was first elected to the Treasurer's position in 2004 and have served continually since then. I've enjoyed being the County Treasurer. We've implemented a lot of good programs since I've been the Treasurer. I am a certified public accountant and have been a CPA for 36 years. I also have my securities investment license, as one of the things that the Treasurer does at the county level is invest the public monies. One of the goals of that is safety. So I have been very reliant upon my education and my experience to provide services to the county residents. I graduated from Fairland High School. I'm also a graduate of the Ohio State University. Glad to see him back on the field, hopefully here in a couple of weeks. I am married to my high school sweetheart also. We've been married for 43 years. Her name is Debbie. I am the father of 2 daughters, Jody, who's married to Evan Hall, and Jessica, who is married to Jared Fox. I have 4 grandchildren, and they are, in fact, the light of our lives. My father is Dale Burcham, and my mom is Marjorie, or Betty Burcham, and Mom passed away a couple years ago. This will be the first election that she will not be here in that regard. So little, and 30 seconds. Thank you. So with that, I would like to ask that we have done a lot each year in each term, including most recently the formation of the land bank. We've got a lot of plans going forward in the future, and I would ask for your vote and your support on November 3rd to be your next and continued County Treasurer. Thank you.
All right, before we start this question and answer session, we have Shirley Dyer here keeping time. Can you guys hear her whenever she's giving you a 30-second warning, or do we need to be a little bit louder for you? Okay. Well, whenever it's 30 seconds until the end of your question, I'll let you know, and then I'll let you know when it's time, since we can't quite hear as well as we hoped. This first question is for Sheriff, Recorder, Treasurer, Auditor, and Judge candidates. The question is, how do you volunteer your time in our community, and what volunteer effort are you most proud of? Everyone will have 90 seconds to answer the question, and we'll start with Joe Ross.
Well, I do volunteer a lot of my time in our community. I have worked with the NWTF, on the handicapped kids and children, for the hunts and stuff. I've always supported that. I think that's a big part of our community. Larry Pernesti does a great job at that. And it makes the kids who shouldn't or wouldn't have a chance to go out and get hunting in the woods. It gives them an opportunity to get out, not only the hunting, the fishing, and everything like that. They also get a chance to do that. My wife works at the Ironton Middle School. I have helped and collected money for the Shop with a Cop down there. We've done that several years to allow the kids down there that would not have had a chance to have Christmas. Together at the police department, we take up collections and donations every year. We try to spread the donations and the blessings throughout the community by giving people stuff for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, where a lot of those people wouldn't have a chance or opportunity to do that. So I take pride in our community. Pardon me?
30 seconds remaining,
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah, I take pride in our community. I do a lot of extra curricular activity up there in Pole Grove, where I live. And like I said, I love the Lawrence County, I love the citizens of Lawrence County, and I love volunteering my time to help them to do whatever they need to be done. So thank you.
Thank you. Now, Jeff Lawless, same question. How do you volunteer your time in our community, and what volunteer effort are you most proud of?
Thank you. I'm a member of the Ironton Lions Club, so I've helped with the Honda Tunnel, which raises money to purchase glasses and other things for people. I help with Backpack Buddies, the Wayne National Forest. I do cleanup work there. Project Lifesaver, we're going out and volunteering to put Project Lifesaver bracelets on. The Eddie Eagle program. I do training. I'm also a CCW instructor, and I do training, safety training for churches and women's groups, that type of thing. So, and also Shop with a Cop. We've participated and been instrumental in helping the Shop with a Cop continue to run and provide many Christmas gifts for the children from Walmart. So, I guess I'm proud of all the things that I do and we do as a sheriff's office to help our communities. When we bring joy to someone's face and with Christmas gifts, or when they see something clean, we want to clean Lawrence County and clean the Wayne, so that everybody that travels here is proud of our county. Just always out in the county doing something.
Thank you. And now can we hear from Sharon Gossett-Hager? Same question.
Well, during my 16 years as a recorder, I have been involved in many different community activities. However, I hesitate to even mention these because, to be honest, in the last couple years, I have not been able to participate in any outside activities. My husband actually is an end-stage Parkinson's disease patient. If it wasn't for the dedicated service of healthcare providers like Bill Lutz and Andrew Stapleton, I wouldn't even be able to maintain my job. So I am thankful that I get to work. That is my goal, and that is my #1 priority, taking care of my husband and doing my job there at the office. However, I will list some things I have done in the past. One of the things that I used to enjoy very much that most people didn't even know Lawrence County had, and that was I was a member of the Board of Tuberculosis. That has since been dissolved, but for many years that was very active in treating the patients in Lawrence County. I'm a member of the Ironton Lions Club. I've been a past member of the Cold Grove Betterment Club. I'm a current member of the Chamber of Commerce, and the list could go on, but I will stop there because, like I said, I hesitate to even take credit for anything that I'm currently doing, and I'm very sorry.
Now the same question for Stephen Dale Burcham.
Thank you. Over the course of my life, I've had a variety of charitable events that I participated in, including playing in the praise band at our church, being our lay leader at church, and teaching various Sunday school classes. I'm also, that's the New Hope United Methodist Church up in Proctorville. Also a member of the Lions Club and the Rotary Clubs. One of my favorite things in the Rotary Club that we do is every year the Rotary Club provides a dictionary to every 3rd grade student in the entire county. It's quite a project. It's a fundraiser that happens. We do raise funds all through the year and then provide those dictionaries to a 3rd grader. Also, we provide a thesaurus to every 5th grader in the entire county also. These are books that are theirs that they get to keep. and they can take home with them and use as reference materials. Not every child has access to broadband or the internet, and to see the look on these children's faces when they have a book that is theirs, that they can put their name on, that they can use for their education, is quite heartwarming. Thank you.
Now the same question for Teresa Baker.
Yeah, I typically over my life, my activities have been revolved around my kids. So when they were younger, we did youth buddy league sports, youth football. We did Relay for Life, and typically it was just something that we enjoyed to do, but that did give back in some measure, and it raised those kids to learn to give back as well. Since the kids have left, I have taught Sunday school. I don't necessarily see it as a volunteer effort. It's just something that I enjoy doing. Most recent, and the thing that I got the most enjoyment out of recently is I am a certified yoga instructor, and I did youth yoga and child yoga training. And I was able to work with kids at the Boys and Girls Club and at the St. John's House at Markham Terrace. And I don't want to say that pride is involved in that, but just the give and take of energy of those kids. It's just something that I get more out of probably than I give to them. But those are just some of the things that I enjoy doing.
Thank you. Now the same question for Paul David Knipp.
Sorry about that. I was trying to unmute again. Much like Sharon, I don't like to talk about the things I do to volunteer, but since the question was asked, I am a member of the Coal Grove Lions Club. One of the things that we do, we have several fundraising activities, all of it which is the goal of which is to provide meals. In the last few years, we provided quite a number of meals to residents of the village and of Coal Grove, as well as the outlying areas surrounding Coal Grove School District. We have a 5K, a golf tournament, and everything, but it's all geared towards improving the lives of the residents of the village of Coal Grove and the surrounding areas there. I'm also a member of Jeremiah 38 Ministries, which we spend a lot of time raising money for medical missions to third world countries in Latin America. I enjoy being a part of helping in the youth programs at Mamre Baptist Church, generally working in the Awana program, a lot of times with the games and just working in that ministry. I'm a former volunteer fireman for the Upper Township Volunteer Fire Department. I gave that service up a number of years ago, but I was able to do that. I still try to assist them if they need it or answer questions. And recently I've joined the Gideons, which we raise funds and try to try to distribute Bibles to the general population and international as well.
Thank you. And now the same question for Patricia Sanders.
All right, thank you. So I am a member of the Ironton Rotary Club, and I recently became a member just over a year ago. So I haven't had an opportunity with COVID to participate as much in some of their activities. But on a personal note, I am involved in, very involved, if anybody knows me, in CrossFit. So I'm a member of CrossFit Thunder up in Huntington. And one of the things that I love so much about my gym is that we're a family, and we do lots of fundraisers and events that raise awareness for different issues. Everything from if there's a gym member who's experiencing some difficulties or trauma. I had a dear friend whose child suffered from it was a disorder, so we did a fundraiser for GFPD awareness, and it's just a wonderful thing to be surrounded with like-minded individuals who are willing to give of themselves for awareness issues. in the community. I also play on the Jewel City Kickball League over in Huntington, and we raise and give money to different entities in the tri-state, and that's part of our fee. So I love participating with people and allowing my participation to give back to the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Shirley's timer is kind of noisy over here. Sorry about that. This question is for Commissioner candidate. How would you rate the response on COVID-19 locally, and what can be done going forward? We'll start with Deanna Holiday.
I think that Lawrence County's response to COVID-19 was very similar to the response that was happening across the country. We immediately went to work in a collaborative way to identify what type of needs were we going to have here in Lawrence County, knowing that each county in the state of Ohio and each state throughout the country was going to have unique needs. And so first and foremost, our concern was for the safety and the well-being of our citizens. We immediately started to look at what type of personal protection would we need, not only for our employees and those on the front lines, our first responders and so on, but also just regular citizens throughout the county. So we were diligent to find resources and to gain knowledge as to what we were dealing with. And in reality, it was an invisible enemy that we were faced with. It was uncharted waters. That was a very fluid situation that we worked through daily. So I think Lawrence County's response was quick, that it was deliberate, and that we will continue to take those same actions and measures moving forward. We're in a good position with better understanding. And so I look forward to how we can move past the coronavirus and this pandemic.
Thank you. And Colton Copley, same question. How would you rate the response on COVID-19 locally, and what can be done going forward?
Well, the response that we've had locally is one of the things I'm very proud of as a commissioner. I think through the leadership, through our president, Commissioner Holliday, and myself and Commissioner Hayes, we were able to form a strong team, which included our emergency management director, Mike Boster, our EMS crews with their leadership, and Lori Morris and Mac Yates, and our health commissioner, Georgia Dillon, along with really too many to name people who stepped up to the plate. And we met daily at our in Ironton and Cold Grove to discuss, as Deanna had mentioned, PPE needs and what we could do to make sure the safety of our citizens was at the top priority. And I think that through that, we were able to come up with a lot of solutions and provide leadership to not only businesses, but the citizens of the county. I was proud of, with my medical background, to be able to give some insight to that team. And through our collaboration and teamwork, I think that we'll continue to make decisions that's going to keep our citizens safe and help our businesses to recover from what has been an unprecedented effect through COVID. So I'm looking forward to working further to help the county move on past the COVID pandemic.
Thank you. This question is for treasurer and sheriff candidates. What skills and qualifications differentiate you from your opponent and make you the right person for the job? We'll start with Teresa Baker on this one.
I think that my proven experience with managing budgets and the fundamentals to cash management. Cash management is one of the key elements of the treasurer position, and careful attention to those fundamentals of simple, seemingly routine tasks of cash reconciliations and careful attention to budget. I have spent as a school treasurer, have had 30 audits, have had no findings for recovery, have received awards for financial reporting, And I have a proven track record. Another thing is that I have been able to come through crises, financial crises at both of the districts that I came to, and work our way out of those financial emergencies. And I feel like
30 seconds.
I feel like with the current situation, with limited resources, it takes somebody who has that proven track record. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll hear from Stephen Dale Burcham.
Thank you. I think one of the major things that differentiate me and make me the best candidate for treasurer is my background in business. We hear all the time that government should run more like business. I run a business. I advise people in business on all facets of business activity. I too have been through a number of audits. I've never had a finding issued against me or my office in that regard. And it's one of those things that you have to take the trust of the public in the care of their funds. We've been able to reduce tax delinquencies by over 70% by applying fair and equal tax collection policies to every citizen, not provide any favoritism to anyone, no matter what their political views are or who they are. I believe in treating everyone exactly the same. It's one of those things that I think reflects on our office when you do those type of things, that people realize that they are treated equally and fairly. And once again, I think it's my business background that I brought into this job which differentiates me and makes me a better candidate for this position. Thank you.
Now the same question for the sheriff candidates. What skills and qualifications differentiate you from your opponent and make you the right person for the job? And we'll start with Jeff Lawless.
Well, frankly, my experience. I've been around the sheriff's office for 34 years, and I know the sheriff's office inside and out. Being the sheriff is a juggling act to try to keep the jail going, the road deputies going, gasoline and cruisers, and the citizens safe, children safe, school resource officers in place. It's a very taxing job, and it takes a lot of experience and knowledge in order to make this operation work. I have been, again, fiscally responsible with my budgets year after year. I continue to keep a jail that is falling down around us up and operational. If the county would be without a jail, we would be in some serious trouble, both financially and with the housing of criminals. My main goal is, again, is to keep the citizens safe, keep the children safe, and frankly, I think my record proves exactly what I'm able to do and what I've done. So I'll cut it off there.
Thank you. Now the same question for Joe Ross.
My experience has been that, I spent the 6 years on the Coal Grove Village Council in Coal Grove as a council person, overseeing budgets throughout the village for the workers and the employees. When I started on the Coal Grove Village Council, I opened up an impound lot where we would tow vehicles and put the vehicles in the impound lot. And from that money that we was able to obtain from those vehicles for the storage and the sales of those vehicles, we was able to take the money and put it into the general fund. And that alleviated some taxpayer money from being spent. That was free money coming into the village. Since I have been employed at Ironton, I've also taken place in our impound, and responsibility for some of the stuff in our impound lot, where we draw anywhere from $75,000 to $85,000 a year from that impound lot. That also is also put in the general fund. I also run our drug task force over at Ironton PD, where we are responsible for lots of money.
30 seconds.
And we do have audits every year, and I'm responsible for that, to take care of that, and haven't come up anything short on that. So, I think that there needs to be some things implemented in the sheriff's department where we can bring in some tax-free money that the taxpayers wouldn't be responsible for paying. Thank you.
Thank you. And for our auditor and recorder candidate, can you briefly describe your primary duties in the position you're running for, and tell us what skills and qualifications make you the right person for the job? We'll start with Paul Davis Nitt.
The primary responsibilities of the auditor's office, it's the chief financial operations of the county. Treasurer's office collects the taxes. We're responsible for overseeing the spending of it. The money comes in, between purchase orders and monitoring that type of information that comes through, we have to be in compliance with, make sure it's a proper governmental spending purpose and all those type of things. We're also the payroll entity of the county. We have approximately or nearly 500 employees that we manage human resources for, benefits, payroll, and those type of things, as well as the assessments of the property values. My background as a school board member with a budget that we started when I was elected, we were on the verge of financial emergency, and we were able to steer that back to if you ask any of the school districts in the county, we're in very good financial, Rock Hill is a very good financial situation. And I was part of that school board that was able to restore the financial resources there. My background as an attorney, as far as compliance and making sure that our office is in compliance with the rules and regulations as far as the spending of the money and monitoring it, I believe is my legal background provides the resources and the ability to do that.
Thank you. And now we'll hear from Sharon Gossett-Hager.
Well, the duties of the county recorder is to keep accurate records, record the documents that involve anything pertaining to the land in Lawrence County. There are like over 55,000 parcels in Lawrence County. If we didn't keep accurate records on the ownership, people couldn't borrow money. This whole realm of problems that would create if we didn't have good records. I am proud of our staff. We have just a wonderful family atmosphere that I am actually very proud of. So besides the recording of the land encumbrances and the deeds, we also do military discharges, and we do veterans ID cards. And I think that's probably one of the more rewarding parts of my job, other than, you know, the responsibility of keeping the accurate records. You know, and obviously one person cannot do it all. So I want to give a great shout out to my staff. That's Kathy Jenkins, Jimmy Roseberry, Lisa Smith, Nick Stapleton, and my OU student. I usually keep an OU student part-time to help mentor, and that is Grace Jenkins. And so together, we are one big family, and we take our office work to be the highest standard. Thank you.
This question is for sheriff and commissioner candidate. The need for a new county jail remains a pressing concern for the area. What is your specific plan to help address this issue? And we'll start with Joe Ross.
Well, it's no secret, I think, that the biggest problem in the county right now is the county jail. The sheriff and his current administration has been in office for the past 12 years. I have not seen any plan that has been put in place by that administration. And still to this day, I have not heard of any plan to be put in place by that administration. We gave away the Franklin Furnace facility down there. We had that for $1 a year. And now that has come back to haunt us here as we look to put people in jail. The county spent approximately $1 million last year transporting prisoners back and forth to Monroe County and Butler County. You know, and if you add those up, he's been in office for 12 years, that's $12 million that we could have saved to put towards a new jail, I believe. And before I would ask the citizens of Lawrence County to pay any more tax money to a new jail, I would think that we need to clean up, take care of, and make the old jail a better place to stay down there. for
30
people down
seconds.
there. Because like I said before, those people are brothers and sisters and mothers and daughters. And I've heard some stories about the jail down there, the treatment of prisoners and stuff. And it's no secret about what goes on in that jail down there and stuff that needs to be taken care of. And that's why I'm asking for people to elect me as a sheriff November the 3rd.
Thank you. And same question for Jeff Lawless.
Well, I want to say that I have been involved in putting several plans together, and we have been involved with the commissioners and judges for the last several years, and even prior to me being sheriff, when I was chief deputy and jail administrator, plans were put in place and presented. The biggest hurdle for getting Lawrence County a jail is money. You know, the tax base in Lawrence County is not very good, and you don't want to go back to the citizens and tax them to death to try to get this jail going. In fact, I'm on a jail committee now. We just had a jail study done by a company. There's a plan that we've already met with the commissioners about to talk about the plan to build a new jail. The study was done and told us what size jail we need. Now all that stuff will come out at some point when the commissioners are ready to do that. But there's been many plans put in place. I've got boxes and boxes of stuff that sit in my office that's ready to go should that availability happen. Now, the other thing is the sheriff does not build a jail. That's the county commissioner's responsibility. The sheriff's job is to run the jail, but I want to be instrumental in that. The Franklin Furnace facility was a white elephant, and I'll go into that when I have more time. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question for Colton Copley.
Well, thank you. 2 years ago, when I came into office, one of the first meetings I had was with the sheriff, and me and him discussed the jail because I knew coming in it was a big issue. And at that time, that's when we took the trip that the sheriff, regarding a group of us, including Commissioner Holliday, myself, Sheriff Lawless, Judge Kristen Finley, went to Franklin County, who is currently building a state-of-the-art jail, and brainstormed with them to understand where they started and how that. And that's how we've gotten to the place we are with our national group that's assisted with our planning and have recently came back with recommendations that we are currently looking at. What we want to do as commissioners is have a shovel-ready project. That way when we can team up with the state who is looking in the future to provide funds for counties who don't have the financial ability to build a jail, but the state teams up with them and help. What we want to do as commissioners is be fiscally responsible and use some funding from the state as it becomes available to have a shovel-ready project to build a jail. But that's what our planning process right now has taken us to, having a plan ready for when the funds are there.
And same question for Deanna Holiday.
Okay, thank you. I'll just start by talking initially about the location in Franklin Furnace. When I came on board as a county commissioner, I did have a plan for that facility. My plan included an opportunity for a revenue stream for Lawrence County. So that has been talked about from all three candidates prior to me answering. A revenue stream for the support of the jail is very important. As we look at the jail, there's different phases. It's a very layered task. We have to look at building the jail, which, as Commissioner Copley stated, he and I have attended many meetings along with the sheriff and other elected officials in the county. We developed a jail team that is looking at how do we build the facility, what will that facility look like, and what will it cost. We've completed the final stages of that study, and so we have a better understanding of what it will really cost. In the past, there's been numbers thrown around for years, and those were just numbers that were pulled out of the air. We now know what it will cost. The commissioners have made good decisions in the last 4 years in acquiring properties that are potential future locations for the jail. And the other thing that we have done is we have secured a or we are working to secure that shovel-ready project that Commissioner Copley talked about, so that when state funding comes available, that we'll be able to capitalize on that first. That's very important, and we do believe that that funding will be coming from the state sooner than later, as we are not the only county that has this issue. There is a problem throughout the state of Ohio with jails, and so Lawrence County is not unique to this. The other thing.
Thank you. The next question is for Patricia Sanders. How will you balance being an independent judge and an elected official?
So for me, I think it comes down to character. And when I'm sitting on the bench, I make decisions based upon the law, based upon the facts, and that's what I have to do. So I can't worry about who's going to be happy with the decisions I make or who's going to be unhappy with the decisions I make. And one of the things that makes that position for me easier is I look at the parties in front of me. Oftentimes it's a mother, a father, a grandparent, and ultimately the decision comes down to what is in the child's best interest. And I am always, always going to do the right thing for the child within the law, regardless of what anyone else thinks about my decisions. Our children are too important, our families are too important to worry about making someone upset.
30 seconds.
Or if someone's going to be unhappy with me. I think I'm at the age now where I'm not worried about what other people think about me, but I am not worried, but concerned about making the right decisions for children and families. Thank you.
Thank you. This next question is for Commissioner, Treasurer, and Auditor candidate. With the pandemic affecting businesses and lowering tax revenue, what issues do we face when it comes to running county government? And we'll start with Deanna Holiday on this one.
Are you there? Could you repeat the question, Sarah? I apologize, I could not hear you.
Sure. No problem. With the pandemic affecting businesses and lowering tax revenue, what issues do we face when it comes to running county government?
Okay. And in the beginning, when the pandemic was first introduced to the world, that was our biggest concern. What is to follow, and particularly in terms of revenue with the county. As most of you know, our county is funded, our general fund is funded based upon sales tax revenue. And so with the shutdown of businesses, we were severely concerned. As of today, we have not had an experience that lends to a decrease in sales tax revenue. We're very thankful for that. However, we know that at some point in time that I guess it will catch up with us. And so as we have enjoyed a continued sales tax revenue in the area that we need it to be and even increased, we know that planning for tomorrow is very important. And so we are protecting the financial health of our county at this time. We're making good, smart decisions, and we are focused on where the future will take us. We're developing a whole new norm for living here in Lawrence County, and so we're hoping to capitalize on some of the new opportunities that the pandemic has presented. One of those being working virtually. Hopefully that we may be able to capitalize that on the future by bringing some of our children and loved ones back home to work for bigger corporations right here virtually in Lawrence County. By growing our population, we grow our sales tax revenue. And so we remain positive, and we're looking to a good, bright tomorrow for Lawrence County.
Thank you. Sorry. And the same question for Colton Copley.
Well, I think when we first had the pandemic, it was on our concerns as commissioners what our county budget would look like, because as commissioners, that's part of our job is to control the county budget and make sure that our spending is appropriate in the county. And as Commissioner Holiday stated, we have been fortunate to not see a decrease in our sales tax revenue. And we've but we haven't came across some extra costs that with some of our response to the pandemic. And what we've been able to do is use some of the funds that came from the stimulus money and to our local governments to try to offset that. As county commissioners, we continue to be fiscally responsible with the taxpayers' money, and want to continue to provide the top level services for them at the county level. And but we have been fortunate up to this point with our sales tax revenue and the lack of decrease in that. But we did have plans in place in case that did happen, because we know as leaders that we need to have a plan, and we had one, but we have not had to face those cuts. So I'm happy to say that.
Thank you. And now we'll hear from Stephen Dale Burcham.
Thank you. One of the concerns, as was expressed, was the impact of the coronavirus on local tax revenues. We've heard about sales taxes, but I would also like to say that in this past year, we had record property tax collections. We collected more property taxes in the first two halves than any other year previously. In conjunction with that, let me go back and also thank the taxpayers of the county for being such good citizens, because over 70% of the local taxes collected goes to our school systems. They go to educate our children. About 9% goes to the county. Both of those entities are facing additional pressures for cost, particularly around sanitation and cleaning. So I'm very happy to be able to report that, and also to help assist that in both the education of our children and the care of our children. I would also like to say that my office was one of the first in the state to develop a COVID-related worksheet if you are unable to meet your tax obligation. We've worked with individuals and businesses to set them up on a payment plan at 0% interest so they could meet their obligation going forward. So we will work with anybody to try to assist them in meeting those obligations, and that can be for up to a 5-year period at 0% interest. So if you're still one of those people that have that issue, give us a call. Thank you.
And now we'll hear from Teresa Baker.
Yeah, I think working with the school system, I think everyone recognizes that school districts and administrators are some of the frontline people dealing with the COVID pandemic, and the reduction in state revenues that we have been able to offset somewhat with CARES Act money and federal dollars. And I do appreciate the fact that local tax revenues were up. It being a revaluation year, we have received some additional dollars in taxes, which does help. Again, I think with the pandemic, going back to the fundamentals of careful budgeting, knowing what you are going to spend in a typical year, knowing that you have some offset for preparation is the best. And obviously none of us could have prepared for this year, but going back to those fundamentals of careful budgeting and management has helped us at the school district meet the demands, and we are able to pivot and reallocate funds where they're most needed. And I think that relates to county spending as well.
Thank you. And now we'll hear from Paul David Nitt.
Thank you. As the Commissioner Holliday and Commissioner Copley both pointed out, for whatever reason, Lawrence County, for the most part at this point, has not received or has not experienced, loss in revenue, and the sales tax stayed pretty consistent with the past years, which has been somewhat amazing. I believe there was 1 month that we were down in collections, so based on that, we were we have a very good staff here in the office that are constantly watching and monitoring the revenue streams and sources. and because of their diligence, we were able to watch and make plans to prepare for the eventual fall if it should happen. So far, the county overall has benefited from an increase in sales tax to some extent. I think that's in part due to some of the sales tax collection rules changed. I believe it was last year. So some of the internet sales that we're experiencing, we're able to
30 seconds.
That was able to increase some of our collections, and the county does function primarily on the sales tax revenue. My concern going forward is that should the extra dollars from the federal government, get decreased or cut, then you would need to be prepared. And my office works very closely with the commissioners to prepare for that, and we are doing that. We are making plans to take care of the county's budget and finances.
Thank you. This next question is for Sharon Gossett Hager. Where in Lawrence County do you live, and what's your favorite part about your community?
Well, this is kind of a mixed story. I started out 19 years. I lived in a little town called Arabia, and I know some of you are familiar with that. I'm a country girl, Sims Valley graduate. Then I lived in Ironton for 28 years, been in Cold Grove for the past 20 years. In addition to that, we spent 3 years as a military temporary resident of Sacramento, California. The thing that I love most about our community is the friendliness of our community. When things get tough, we all pull together. And I never cease to be amazed at how we do that. Our son and his family live in in Westerville in the Columbus area. And I love to go there and visit and see these grandbabies. But I'm so excited when I can start back home. And I think it is truly that down home feeling that we have across Lawrence County. Thank you.
This question is for Patricia Sanders. How will you work with different entities to expand drug abuse prevention programs in an effort to help Lawrence County families?
So juvenile court has, I initially reached out to several of the providers because we were seeing a shortage of providers for youth. A lot of the providers had focused on providing services for adults. So we reached out to several different entities, and I had some conversations in my office with several of them. And we have had some really good success with the CAO and the One Stop, providing liaisons, lots of feedback from them to make sure that our kids are participating, that the families are participating, and that we're seeing the results that we want. Our youth are really suffering not only from the drug abuse, but also the trauma from their parents' drug abuse. So with our children's services cases, I have encourage providers to participate in our hearings, whether it be through our Blue Jeans video platform or in person, to help me encourage the parents to participate, to work on some of the problems. So the counselors and the community providers are a direct #1 link to helping these families overcome their problems.
Thank you. Our final question this evening is for commissioner candidates. The pandemic has made the need for reliable broadband service more apparent in our region. How would you work to improve this situation? And we'll start with Colton Copley on this one.
Well, today at our commissioners meeting, we had an opportunity to share with a new contract that we had just, a lease agreement that we had signed that will allow JB Nets, a company, to use one of our towers in Wilgus to provide Wi-Fi signal to that area that lacks internet. And this is just one example of an ongoing conversation that the committee that we formed through the Commissioner's Office and the Broadband Committee have been working towards. And you know, there's funds that are becoming available federally that are bringing providers of internet to the table that previously had not wanted to step up and have conversations, just due to the overwhelming cost of infrastructure. And you know, the example today of the Wilgus Tower and providing some service to a community that doesn't have it is just a prime example of what our commitment to our citizens to provide what I consider an essential need of broadband internet to all parts of our county, especially with the COVID pandemic highlighting the effects of our schools and home learning. So I know that there's more that Commissioner Holliday can expand on for us. So she'll be finishing up this question since I only had 90 seconds.
Time. All right, Deanna Holliday, do you want to expand on Colton Copley's response there?
Absolutely. Commissioner Copley's right. The two of us could probably fill up at least an hour or 2 hour show with talking about broadband and the potentials here in Lawrence County. Your commissioners are working diligently to reach a fully lit Lawrence County. We did develop a broadband committee through the Lawrence County Port Authority, and our most recent meeting, I actually chair that committee. Our most recent meeting was last Wednesday, and I was very pleased with the turnout. We had a lot of private entities that joined us in our meeting, and our goal is to create again a shovel-ready project. Shovel-ready has been used a lot throughout this debate, that term, and that's so important when we are trying to vie for funding. We're competing for funding, so when we have a project that's together and ready, we're more likely to go to the front of the line for that funding. We are looking to capitalize on the power grants for next year, and we are reaching out to our private entities to bring us projects that we can support their project with grant funding. And when we're talking about projects, we are talking about projects that are millions of dollars, but we believe that Lawrence County is the perfect, has the perfect landscape for this funding and to obtain these dollars that we need to create public-private partnerships to ensure a fully lit Lawrence County. We know that that's going to build our education opportunities here and also our economic development opportunities. We'd love more time to talk about it, but that's all.
Thank you. A candidate forum requires participants to answer important questions in an extremely limited amount of time. We appreciate you all spending your evening with us and answering some questions from the community. We want to thank you for dedicating yourselves to public service and outlining your visions for Lawrence County and connecting with the voters in Lawrence County. We'll close out this forum with a 2-minute statement from each candidate. We'll start with Auditor candidate Paul David Nip.
Thank you. First, want to take the time and opportunity to thank the Tribune, the Chamber, the Armstrong Cable, and all the other partners that put this forum together to allow us to get together and present our mission, our vision, our skills to the community. And I wanted to thank you for that. My goal and my what I've been able to learn over the last almost 12 months, the information that I've been able to gather and use in the auditor's office, I want to continue to do that. One of my favorite parts of the campaign has been able to meet with people, discuss with them their issues, their concerns about the county, especially the county budget, budgetary concerns, valuation of property, those type of things, and just being able to be as open and transparent as I can be with the information I have. My goal is to continue to learn the job myself and to continue to spread out as much information as possible. I know our website has a tremendous amount of information that's available to the public. I want to continue to grow that information and to make it as user-friendly as we can all possibly be. My goal is to continue to work with that, have an open door policy with the citizenry of the county, so they can meet with me, talk with me at any time. And if I don't know the answer, then I give an opportunity to find that answer for them. My intention at this point is to continue to serve as the, provide as many hours to the population as I can and be as available to the population as I can. And I humbly ask for your vote on November the 3rd.
And now Commissioner candidate Deanna Holliday.
Thank you. So I hope that you can hear the excitement in my voice when I talk about Lawrence County opportunities and projects that we're working on here in the county. I am completely devoted to a brighter future for Lawrence County, and I could not imagine having a job that I would love more than my job here as a commissioner and serving you, the citizens of Lawrence County. As I said earlier, I do have a grand vision for Lawrence County. I'm determined to strengthen infrastructure here in Lawrence County, to build upon this pandemic that's been thrown at us. There's been a lot of negatives with it, but let's build upon that. Let's take these new normals and turn them into positives. I mentioned earlier the world of virtual, which we're coming to you tonight virtually. Imagine the opportunity that we may have with economic development and jobs here in Lawrence County if we can bring this broadband initiative to light. If we can fully light Lawrence County, we'll have the opportunity to truly bring our children home. Those that have had to leave to find jobs, we can bring them home if they're able to work virtually for larger companies and things of that sort. I could go on and on about Lawrence County, how proud I am, and how much I love serving you. But I want to just leave you with this. When you vote for me, you elect a full-time commissioner, one with experience, determination, and a heartfelt desire to serve you. I'll continue to unite people, find solutions for tomorrow, and relentlessly serve you to the best of my ability. As Helen Keller once said, alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. I ask for your vote on November the 3rd, and please tell your family and friends to vote for Deanna Holliday as well. Thank you.
Now, Commissioner candidate Colton Copley.
Well, thank you, and thank you for tonight and presenting such a good forum for us to get our words out to the people. I think that we've had some tremendous success over the last 2 years since I've been in office. We've had programs such as Project First Impression, which was an effort to clean up our county, the Imagination Library initiative to get every child birth to 4 years, a book every month in the mail. And we've seen recruitment of industries to our area, which have increased our mean household income significantly over the past couple of years. I want to continue to be a part of the positive change in our community, a change that I want to see for my 5 children and yours. I'm proud of the programs that I've participated in the last 2 years, and those programs include programs that honor our seniors and our veterans. I appreciate my supporters who elected me to represent the Republican Party on the ballot November 3rd, and I humbly ask for your vote to elect me, Colton Copley, Lawrence County Commissioner, so that I can continue to serve the great people in our county. I thank you tonight for taking the time to learn about your candidates and participate in the election process in our great country. God bless all of you, and thank you again.
Thank you. Now, Patricia Sanders.
All right. So, with probate juvenile court, most of the cases that I handle, individuals don't want to be there. So I think it's important that my court, my staff treat everyone with dignity and respect. And I promise to listen with compassion and apply the law equally to everyone who appears in front of me, regardless of party, of economic status, or who they are. I look at the facts, I listen, and I apply the law equally. One of the things that I'm working on with the court is to kind of move us into the 21st century. We have started doing hearings by video, and that has it's been a tremendous success. I'm hoping, and Judge Ballard and I have discussed the possibility of doing a website so people will have more access to some general questions and forms. It will also assist them, alleviate some of the work for my staff in answering general questions if they could go to a website. So I love my job. I love the families of Lawrence County. I refer to the kids that come in front of me as my kids because I believe in them. I have hope for our future. And I tell every young person that comes in front of me, I can see their future. I know their potential. And some of them have never heard an adult say, I believe in you. You can do
30
this.
seconds.
And that's one of the things that I love about my job. And, you know, I can be out in the community, and even I was walking the dogs, and somebody I hadn't seen did not remember that I just gotten out of the shower. I mean, I look terrible. And they said, hey, you did my custody case. I really appreciate it. I don't hear that, you know, people don't, my job doesn't get that kind of response all the time, but when I do, it means something to me. So I appreciate your support, and we have an open door policy. If anybody wants to talk to me, I'm more than happy to. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll hear from Sharon Gossett Hager.
Thank you. I feel like I have touched so very little on what the Recorder's Office does this evening. So I invite you all to come by sometime and we'll go into more detail. One thing I would like to say in regards to the COVID situation and how it has affected our office. Last month, we had a record-breaking month in our office. We did over $51,000 worth of business. Now, when you consider that that is just the recording fees are $34 for 2 pages. That is a lot of pages, and we were very busy. So I just hope that my legacy, I guess, will be one not just of doing good work or productive work. I hope my legacy will be one of inspiring and encouraging others to meet their own personal goals. I have been so blessed. So now, as I am entering my 5th and final term, I ask for your complimentary vote on November 3rd. I promise I will continue to do the work that you asked me to do. And I have this little saying that I like to do in regards to being a recorder and recording deeds. And I know the commissioners especially, they're going to know what I'm getting ready to say. And that's the fact is that I'm Sharon Gossett Hager, and I continue to do good deeds daily. Bless you. Appreciate your support.
Now we'll hear from Joe Ross.
First of all, I'd like to thank my family and my friends for the support and the citizens of Lawrence County that they've given me through my political 2 years. I announced my candidacy July 3rd, 2018, and the support that I have been given from the citizens of Lawrence County who was wanting a change, I believe, for the best, has been just tremendous. I have put my family aside sometimes for my candidacy, going out and politicking every day since July 3rd, 2018. When I announced my candidacy in 2018, I used 3 words: transparency, accountability, and equality. I believe that law enforcement should be held to a higher standard. There's been some instances the last couple of months that these 3 words have come into question by the citizens of Lawrence County. And I would ask that if the citizens of Lawrence County want a sheriff that is transparent, accountable, and treats equality to everyone, including the employees of the Lawrence County Sheriff's Department and the citizens of Lawrence County, I ask that you vote Joe Ross for sheriff on November the 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll hear from Jeff Lawless.
Thank you. The citizens of Lawrence County deserve the best law enforcement services available. My staff and I provide this every day. Being the sheriff comes with huge responsibilities that impact our lives for many years to come. The safety of our children, families, and communities is of the utmost importance. I am committed to providing professional law enforcement services with high standards of ethics, morals, and leadership. Being the sheriff is demanding, stressful, and dangerous, but I do this job because I love it. I am proud to serve the citizens of Lawrence County. I have always been accessible, diligent, fiscally responsible, and transparent in my operation. I also want to say that over my career, I have been involved with putting 7 law enforcement officers in jail and elected officials in jail, which shows that I will do what it takes. If somebody is breaking the law, I will enforce that law. Some current incidents that happened are still under investigation by outside agencies. So when those reports come back and the investigations are complete, then I will deal with it on a lawful manner and as provided by union contract. So I will always be transparent. I will always be fair and honest, and regardless whether somebody has a badge on or they're wearing a hat of public service or they're a regular citizen, I've dealt with them. I always will. I always have, and I've done it fairly and honestly. I humbly and respectfully ask for the citizens of Lawrence County to vote for me November 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll hear from Stephen Dale Burcham.
Thank you. Just a couple of things that I'd like to focus on of the many programs that we do. The first is, I believe in investing in our county. I believe in the citizens of Lawrence County. And by that I mean that I provided low interest financing to various entities, governmental entities throughout the county that have purchased over 25 police and sheriff cruisers, 7 fire trucks, 4 ambulances, classroom additions, and infrastructure such as water and sewer projects, along with various other miscellaneous projects. The other item that I'd like to really mention is the establishment of the Lawrence County Land Bank. We have had over 246 demolitions countywide. It's touched 12 townships, 7 school districts, 7 villages in the city of Ironton. This is something that is making our county better. It's created jobs, it's created demolition jobs. And now as we move forward into the future, not only are we renovating properties, and we sold our first renovation, but we've created jobs of construction, of building, and we are going to continue doing that. I would love to be able to take that vision for the next 4 years and apply that to these properties as we turn them back into productive use, back into something good for our community instead of the drug houses that they were. Many of those houses had been abandoned for over 30 years, 40 years. We've had one house that the deed hadn't transferred in over 75 years. So these are the things that we have taken the bull by the horns, applied good business practices in accordance with the law and as audited by the state of Ohio, and turning problem properties into productive assets for our county. I ask for your vote on November 3rd. Early voting has started, and I'd ask your vote then too. Please ask your friends and your family also to vote for Stephen Dale Burcham. I appreciate it, and thank you very much.
And we'll close this out with Teresa Baker.
Thank you so much, and thank you to everyone who was involved in putting this forum together and all of the participants. I know it's it's a different format, definitely. What I would like to say in closing is I bring to the table proven experience of working through financial crises at both school districts that I came to. There were financial crises, and mainly because of the lack of detail and lack of attention to those fundamentals. I also want to say that I am certified by the Ohio State Treasurer's Center for Public Management, Investment Management. I am certified to handle municipal securities for the school system. I am new to politics, but I am fully qualified for the position of treasurer. And I will do what it takes to make that position successful. And my campaign materials, I use the terms honesty, integrity, and experience. And I stand behind those 3 values. I am honest, and I do have personal and professional integrity. that I will bring to Lawrence County in that position. And I am proud to be from Lawrence County. I do appreciate the support I've received, and I ask for your vote. I am the Republican candidate for Lawrence County Treasurer, Teresa Baker, and I do ask for your vote November 3rd or in early voting. Thank you so much.
But I'd like to welcome you all and thank you for committing to attend and engage with our voters. Thank you to Armstrong for filming and the Chamber of Commerce of Lawrence County for hosting this important event. How we'll start out is we'll give each candidate 2 minutes to introduce themselves and tell us a bit about the position they're running for before launching into the question and answer session. Each question will allow for a 90-second answer, and you'll hear a tone to tell you when time is up. And at the end of the question and answer session, each candidate will have an additional 2 minutes to give us any of their closing thoughts or statements. And now let's start introducing ourselves, and let's start with Justice Sharon Kennedy for Justice of the Supreme Court.
Well, good evening. My name's Sharon Kennedy. I am the 154th Justice of the Supreme Court of Ohio, and I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to be with all of you today. I ran for election in 2012 to serve as a justice at the Supreme Court of Ohio with a commitment to honor my limited role in government, to uphold the law, not rewrite it or legislate from the bench. I've honored my oath and that commitment to Ohioans, and I am seeking re-election to continue not only my work at the court, but my important work beyond the bench, working for veterans suffering from the invisible wounds of war who find themselves into our criminal justice system, working with community partners on cultural consciousness, programming for judges, lawyers, and many others, and working on reentry programs, giving birth as a result of what I've seen in the prisons for what we do for veterans, believing we can apply that same thought process for non-veterans as well, to help the formerly incarcerated live the life reform that they are entitled to. I thank you for the opportunity to be with you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll hear from Stacey Brooks for Judge of the 4th District Court of Appeals.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you for the Chamber and Armstrong and the Tribune for putting this together. It's not easy to do in these day and ages with everything going on. Just introduce you to what is in my background and what I do. I am running for Judge of the 4th District Court of Appeals. I began my legal career 14 years ago with Southeastern Ohio Legal Services, and it's a nonprofit legal aid organization. That's what brought me to Chillicothe. I grew up in the Dayton area and then went to school in various places, but took the bar and came back to Ohio and then ended up in Chillicothe. So legal aid is also where I met my husband, and we stayed here. We have 2 children that we're proudly raising here. Legal aid gave me a wonderful foundation as an attorney to do just about everything I've done in my career, including opening my own law firm and running for judge. So, you know, I've been a trial and appellate attorney. I've represented children, families, businesses, seniors, veterans. I am the village solicitor for the Village of Beaver, Ohio, and I have a number of professional certifications, mostly in the area of family law. I'm also pretty dedicated to my community. I'm a former union leader. I'm dedicated to public service, and I have a passion for the law, which is basically why I'm running. So I want to make a promise to the voters, and it's the same promise that I make to my clients every day. And that is, as judge, you know, I will follow the law. I'll communicate what the law is to you so you can understand it. And I will be a stabilizing force when things get difficult. And I will continue to be a problem solver. That's my approach to things. I'll work hard and I will be fair. So to everyone watching, I respectfully request your vote.
Thank you. And now Judge Christy Wilkin for Judge of the 4th District Court of Appeals.
Hi there, this is Judge Christy Wilkin. Excuse my environment, I'm in my second office called my car. which is one of the beauties of Zoom. I can be in 2 places at once. So again, I am Judge Christy Wilkin. I am the newly appointed judge to the 4th District Court of Appeals. I was appointed approximately 2 months ago, at which time I wrapped up 14 years of a law practice, started a new position, and took on 14 counties in a contested campaign. During my time on the bench so far, I have written approximately 5 decisions. I voted on 4 decisions, and I've been on the bench to hear oral arguments 3 times. In fact, I was in Pike County earlier today and heard oral arguments there. Prior to taking the bench, I had worked in a private practice. I was a partner with Peel Law Offices. Again, that was a general practice where we're engaging in all divisions of the law. I graduated from law school at Ohio Northern University. I graduated in the top 10% of my class. I'm also very engaged with our community. I too, prior to the appointment to the bench, I was on the board, the Highland County Chamber Board. I'm also a trustee for Southern State, or was a trustee for Southern State Community College. I'm part of Altrusa, which promotes literacy in children. And I've also been an adjunct professor for Southern State Community College. I am born and raised here in the 4th District Court of Appeals in a small town or city called Hillsboro, Ohio. My husband and I live in a small farm there. We have 2 girls, Piper and Parker, and a dog, Lucy. So it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll hear from Mary Benniger for State School Board.
Hi, I'm Mary Benniger. I'm running for State Board of Education, District 10. I am a retired high school special education teacher. I have about 35 years of teaching experience. Plus I've had 30 or more years of being an education advocate at the local, state, and national level. I have been active with the Ohio Education Association, but I've also served on several statewide committees that have dealt with education issues across the state, and then another committee of the national level to deal with education issues at the national level. I am running for this office because I truly believe that public education is the foundation of our democracy, and to have a strong democracy, we must have a well-educated populace. I also believe that it's important for any agency that has control or sets policies for K-12 education to have a strong voice of practitioners, people that have been in the classroom and understand how policies are put into effect in real life situations. I've been endorsed by the Ohio Education Association, the Ohio Federation of Teachers, and the Ohio Association of Public School Employees. I always have to think that one through. So I have a lot of backing from my educational partners because we believe that we want to have a strong voice for public education. My campaign is centered around 3 issues: funding, trying to solve the inequities in our system that are currently there, and then trying to lessen the use of standardized tests and standardized test scores when looking at how students are doing and trying to get a broader, better picture of what students are able to do. I have a real belief in that children are indeed our future, and we must really invest wisely in their education. So thank you. Thank you for letting me be here.
Thank you. And now we'll hear from Brendan Shea for the State Board of Education as well.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, and thank you for putting this on. My name is Brendan Shea, and I'm also running for the State Board of Education, District 10. You know, education runs deep in my veins. Many of my relatives come from a long line of teachers. My father, who happens to be my personal hero, recently finished a 45-year teaching career, so I've learned so much from him. We live in London, my wife and I, and our young children up here in Madison County, where we're raising our family. Professionally, I'm a financial advisor, so I work in the private sector. I work in the business world. To my knowledge, I don't think there's too many folks on the state board with that type of private sector background, which I think could be unique and valuable. Obviously, there's a lot of competitive challenges in the 21st century economy, and so I think I'd have some unique insight and perspective to bring to the position. A couple of my principles and priorities. Ohio is, of course, a local control state. I think that's a great thing, and we need to protect that. I believe in choice and education. I believe that further reform of the current standards is necessary. Sitting in my seat as a financial advisor, there's a great deal of financial literacy out there. And a lot of young people make so many financial decisions that set them on a trajectory for their lives when they're young and in high school. So I'd like to increase financial literacy among our youth. I'd also like to combat what I see as the epidemic of despair among our youth, dramatic increases in rates of depression and suicide. I think social media and excessive screen use and technology are obviously challenges that we need to talk about. So I'm ready and eager to serve and eager to answer any questions and hopefully earn the support of those here today. Thank you so much. I was the only one to hit.
All right. And now we'll move into our question and answer session. Each candidate will have 90 seconds to answer. The first question is for court candidates. And we will start with the question, what is your judicial philosophy? And we'll start with Justice Kennedy.
My judicial philosophy is judicial restraint. And there are 3 compelling reasons why you would want that at Ohio's highest court. One is how we go about our republic, our representative voice. You and I have the same voice. And that is, we vote for the men and women who will serve us in the State House. We get the opportunity to pick up the phone and say there should be this law, but not that law. But I don't get a third voice to rewrite it when it sits in front of me in a case. And think about why that's so compelling. Think about the process of how law is made, where opponents and proponents come together with the committee hearings, and they have the opportunity to voice their concerns as compared to me with 2 parties, 2 briefs, and make the decision alone. But also it comes to equality in the law. One of the things that we aspire to, that the law is fairly and impartially applied equally to all. If the law is swinging like a pendulum, it cannot be equal for all.
Thank you. And Stacey Brooks, same question.
Thank you. And I'm just going to give some examples of how I practice and how I'll bring that practice philosophy to the court. So in a lot of cases, I find myself being the problem solver. And I mentioned that earlier, but I do find that, I'm trained as a mediator. I've been trained to do advanced conflict mediation for families. And that skill, it has come in handy as an attorney and a mediator. I find that when we can look at solutions in creative ways, we can often try to resolve the issue in the least harmful and least disruptive way to the parties. So when looking at how courts make decisions, I'll take that same approach. Again, as the justice said, we don't want decisions, in Lawrence County that are going to have the same facts and circumstances and laws decided incredibly differently in Washington County, let's say. So in the 4th District, I think the appellate courts at the intermediate level, the goal is to stabilize the law, to communicate the law and make sure that people have a clear understanding of what that is and to bring that together for our communities. So it's not about, the legislature has their own role. I taught political science at the Ohio University, our branch here in Chillicothe. And, going through where the authority comes from for the courts and the legislature to make their decisions. I do carry my pocket constitution around that I taught with my students. So that's very important to understand the role of the courts and in particular, the appellate court at this level.
Thank you. And now we'll hear from Judge Wilkin.
My judicial philosophy, I would describe myself as a judicial conservative. And what do I mean by that? I mean conserving the powers that are allocated to me on the bench to only interpreting the law, not legislating from the law. In fact, I'm deciding the meaning of the statutes and how it shall be applied to the case. And in fact, I may be required to reach a result in which I may not personally agree, but it makes no difference what my personal views are. Each day when I put on my black robe, when I take the bench, I believe I'm retaking the oath of office. And I have a duty, a constitutional duty, to abide by the law and interpret the law as written. You know, if I want to insert my personal opinions, I can do that when I go to the ballot. But I also live with a state representative. My husband's a state representative, so I can complain to him as well. But I can pledge to you that I will not legislate from the bench. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have a question for Councilman Otney. There's been a debate in the Capitol on the mandates and restrictions regarding the COVID-19 pandemic. Where do you feel the state of Ohio stands on this issue? Do you feel measures are as strict as they should be, about right, or too strict?
Thank you for that question, and thank you for having me here today. I'd like to say that I don't think the state has been proactive enough in addressing our concerns with COVID-19. The response, the mask mandate, for example, came much too late. While numbers continue to soar, we tend to just say, here's a color-coded chart, here's how bad things are, do whatever you want, just be safe. Unfortunately, we are seeing numbers continue to rise. We're seeing deaths continue to rise. Just this week in our part of the state, in Lawrence County and Scioto County, we're seeing numbers increase to rates we've never seen before. We have to be more proactive. We have to be willing to accept the responsibility of this. People will say that we should allow personal responsibility, we should allow self-regulation, but that only works if you take personal responsibility. We have to accept our responsibility to wear a mask. And if we can't do that, which I think we've shown the trouble with wearing a mask, too many people aren't wearing masks, too many people aren't staying distant. I think the state needs to take stronger measures. I think we need to enforce masks a little more. I think we need to start looking at more social distancing. We need to start possibly looking at school options, where now schools are doing virtual options. Perhaps they should be all virtual at this point as numbers continue to rise. I don't think the state has handled this particularly well. I don't think our governor has led on this particular issue. Where the federal government kicked it to the states to handle, the state has kicked it to the communities.
Thank you. And now we'll move to the State Board of Education candidates. The question is, what do you see as the biggest challenges facing public education in our state? And we'll start with Brendan Shea.
As I mentioned before, I believe we need further reform of our educational standards. Some progress has been made. They're commonly referred to as the Common Core standards. I think a lot more needs to be done. I have some serious concerns about the academic component of the standards, and also the idea of tying, when they were adopted, tying aid, tying the race to the top dollars to the adoption of the standards. I think in principle that was wrong, and I think it moves further and further toward kind of nationalizing education. Just to mention a couple academic concerns, I want to expand rather than contract our children's imagination. And the standards, if you look at them, there's an increased focus on nonfiction rather than fiction literature. And so that would just be one small example of an area in which I think we need to move more toward the classic, the good books that many of our leaders have been fed and grown up on to cultivate their imagination and the great American spirit. So thank you.
Thank you. And now Mary Vinegar, same question.
Okay, when I look at the issues before the state, the education system right now, I see three major ones. One is funding. We have to come up with a fairer, more equitable funding system. Our system right now basically says that your zip code is almost more important in determining the quality of your education than your innate abilities are. And that's wrong for any student. So we have to look at how do we get that funding system to be much more equitable so all children have a quality education or have the opportunity for a quality education. The other area, as I mentioned earlier, is those inequities that we have found. We have found that when the epidemic hit, we found some school districts quite capable to very quickly move from traditional to online. But then we found in many of our rural areas, especially, that students didn't have access to the internet, or if they had access to the internet, they didn't have enough equipment in their home so that every child had the same opportunity to get their schoolwork done. So we have to address those kinds of issues and make sure that we are prepared for this switch, which seems to be, as I'm watching schools right now, they're the ones that are in person are suddenly having to shut down for a week or two because of quarantines within when cases are done. So they switch back to online and then have to switch back again. So we have to make sure all students have the same chances, same opportunities for education. And then finally, we just have to get away from using standardized test scores as the be-all, end-all to determine how children are doing. A standardized test score says how a child does on a particular day on a particular issue, but it doesn't say anything about the overall academic success of that child. So we need to think about how we use those test scores better and take less time using those tests. Thank you.
Thank you. This is another question for our court candidate. Do you feel during an emergency like the pandemic that it's constitutional, the governor has the power to mandate shutdowns or mask mandates? We'll start with Judge Wilkin.
Well, I'm confident that as the new judge for the 4th District Court of Appeals, that this issue will actually be before me. So I want to be careful in how I answer. But what I can tell you is that I'm a constitutionalist. I believe in our Constitution. I believe in the separation of powers. And hopefully with that, you can figure out where my values and where my opinion would lie.
Justice Kennedy, same question.
I'm sorry, because there are cases pending across the state, I am prohibited by the Judicial Code of Conduct from espousing my opinion on this issue.
Thank you. Stacey Brooks, would you care to answer that question?
I'll give you a different answer. I mean, I'm going to stick with what the other two have said because it is part of the ethical rules, but that's something that I'll just make a point because, you know, judicial races are really hard for people to understand. And a lot of times voters don't know how to judge judges. And I've made a point to make sure that people have access to information and participate in forums like this so that they can understand, you know, why we're not out there speaking about, you know, hot button issues and things that people want to know about. But it is part of the ethical code. And for the reason that my opponent stated, you know, that's a very likely issue to come up before the court. And to bring stability and integrity to the court, you don't want to prejudge cases and you don't want to have judges hopping off the case because they've already made a public statement about that. So again, just trying to educate the public a little bit more about why our responses are the way they are.
Now here's another question for Councilman Otney. The pandemic has made the need for reliable broadband service more apparent in our region. What plan do you have to improve this situation?
Expanding broadband access is a fairly bipartisan issue, and of course I would join in support for that. In parts of rural Ohio, we have, as I said, I work with the school district, and we see students who struggle getting on to complete their schoolwork. We need to reinvest in rural communities. We need to reinvest in broadband access and make sure everybody, every student, and every man and woman has access to broadband internet. I think this pandemic has really shown why it is so important and why it needs to become a priority issue.
And this is for the Board of Education candidate. In what ways have you been of service to public education before your candidacy? And we'll start with Mary Vinegar.
Well, that's a fairly easy one for me. I've been of service to public education for 35 years in the classroom. And then outside the classroom, I have worked during my career and even since I've retired on public education issues. I currently serve as the Ohio Education Association retired chair. So we are continually working with our active teachers to promote issues and to promote policies and needs, to lobby our state lobbyists to help promote public education and to make sure that every child gets a quality education. So I think that's pretty much my answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Now the same question for Brendan Shea.
Just waiting for the unmute. I've been very active in the Rotary organization here in town, and one of our primary service roles and functions has been working with the various local school districts, getting them involved in many capacities. So I've worked closely with the local school superintendents and principals in facilitating debate programs, honoring our local students for achievement, bringing our rural and urban communities together, and our FFA students to raise awareness and bring togetherness. So I've not had a formal role in the education area, but I've been engaged and involved and of service at the local level, and I look forward to doing so more at the state level.
Another question for court candidates. How will you balance being an independent judge and an elected official? We'll start with Justice Kennedy.
Well, thank you for the question. Independence of the judiciary is under attack. Since 2013, many research institutes have written about this issue. The more that campaigns turn into political fodder is the attack on the independence of the judiciary. To me, it is my obligation to interpret the law as it's written, to give you that independent view of the separate but co-equal branches of government, to declare laws unconstitutional when the General Assembly has exceeded the boundaries of the Constitution, but to uphold your voice as the representative voice in the laws that you create as long as they are constitutional. I look at the difference of my roles easily, because as someone who is elected, I have an obligation to go out and teach civics in order to help those understand what it is that the third branch of government does, what our limited role in this government is, and how we can approach it while still running for office, while maintaining the integrity and independence of the separate but co-equal branches of government and what we do for a living. Thank you.
Thank you. And the same question for Stacey Brooks.
I think folks could look to how I've run my campaign as to how I'll remain independent as a judge. You know, I've been politically active before. I stepped down from any of those positions as soon as I declared my candidacy. I have been endorsed by political parties, but I'm not outright claiming I'm aligned with one party or the other. I have a broad range of support from elected folks around the region, labor organizations who represent our working families. And I don't think people will find that in my practice, or anyone that's worked for me, that I am very easily aligned to anything. So when the skills that I have will transfer easily to the bench. As the justice said, I'll follow the rules because we have those in place for a reason. The first rule in our code of ethics is to administer and uphold the independence and impartiality of the law. And so I've followed that throughout this campaign, and I will continue to do so.
And now the same question for Judge Wilkin.
Thank you. So my answer goes along basically with my philosophy. I think it's important for people to know where our values stand. Again, I am the conservative candidate. My goal is law and order. And what do I mean by law and order? I mean, if you break the law, it doesn't matter to me, what color you are, if you're rich or poor, what political affiliation you are. If you break the law, you need to be held accountable. And that's where I stand, and that's what I believe, and that's how I will apply the law as it's written. Thank you.
Thank you. And another question for Councilman Otney. How would you rate the local response to COVID-19 and what can be done going forward? I know we touched on this earlier.
Yeah, I think pretty much repeating what we went over earlier, I think the state response has been lax. I think we need to have stronger enforcement of mask mandates. I think we need to reevaluate our school policies right now, and should the schools be open. I know some districts are having 60 or more students in quarantine right now. I think it's unsafe, and while it is certainly challenging and not ideal to be trying to have an education over Zoom, it is more preferable, I think, than the alternative of watching our children and our teachers and community get sicker.
Thank you. And for State Board of Education candidates, do you think state report cards should be held until in-person classes resume in entirety? And we'll start with Brendan Shea on this.
Yeah, I would say so. I also I'll use some of my time to comment on the state report card in general. Probably know there's 7 main areas: achievement, growth and progress, K-3 literacy, early childhood development, graduation rate, preparedness for success in life, and gap closing. I would agree with Ms. Vinegar that I think standardized tests are given outside weight. So I'd actually want to reduce that in the report card. I also would like to find a way to somehow measure and bring to bear parental involvement in schools and in the life of our children. I truly believe that that's one of the biggest determining factors of the success and well-being of children as they grow up and then later in life is the involvement of their parents. And I'd like to find a way to reflect that in the state report card as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And same question for Mary Vinegar.
Yes, I definitely believe that state report cards should be put on hold. And I think as that time that they're being put on hold, that they should also be reevaluated in what they present. I think it's really important for our school districts to give information to the community so that the community understands the positive, wonderful things that are going on in our public schools. And also if there's areas that need for improvement, that the community is made aware of that also. But I do think that the current state report card has too much emphasis on grades from the standardized test. And even though there's a way for members of the community to look at some of the other things about the school district, it takes extra effort. So I think those things should be put forward so that the school can present a real picture of everything that's going on and a much more positive picture. It frightens me that some of the things that are going on with Ed Choice vouchers and things like that are based on information from 2013. That's 7 years ago. So much has changed in those 7 years. And then especially all the things that have happened since spring and the challenges. So yes, I definitely believe they should be put on hold for a while. Thank you.
And this is our final question, and it'll be for all candidates. Lawrence County is on the border of West Virginia and Kentucky, and it's not uncommon for locals to live in one state and attend college or work in another. Why should young professionals choose Ohio as their home state? We'll start with Councilman Otney.
Thank you. We're seeing so much innovation in Ohio and so much growth, and especially here in the 14th District, Southern Ohio, where I'm running. We see in parts up and down the river, the young people who are coming and reinvesting in their community. They're staying in town. They are opening businesses. They are creating new things and adding to their community. And that kind of growth is just developing and giving us kind of a renaissance up and down the river. And it's really exciting and gives me a lot of hope for this community. And as we graduate people, whether it's across the river or here in Ohio, I think they're going to start seeing more opportunities here to stay and to reinvest, and we'll continue to grow. I think that we have so much to offer with our beautiful hills and our river, and it's a great place. I've been here my entire life, and I wouldn't ever leave. Thank you.
Thank you. And same question for Mary Vinegar.
I would agree with what the councilman just said, and also just in our education system, we have tried very hard. We have admitted when we have seen things that were not positive. We are trying to address those things, and I think the current State Board of Education is really looking at many factors that we have seen as obstacles in the past and trying to find solutions for those for the future. So I think the future for our students are very bright. I think that families coming in to public schools in Ohio will get a quality education. I think that our students are being encouraged to do their very best work. It's been exciting as I've gone to a few things around the state to see student-driven projects doing wonderful things about engaging the community right now, even in getting out the vote kind of issues. So that's extremely exciting. And as a parent, I would find that extremely exciting for my child to come into a state where public education is valued, where we're looking at all the things that we need to do to improve it, and that we're so proud of our students and all the work they do. Thank you.
Thank you. And same question for Brendan Shea.
So I'm not an Ohio native, but I'm proud now to call Ohio my home. I was born and raised in Rhode Island, but my wife is from this area, and I started my professional career actually in New York City. And I've never been more happy to be in Ohio and not be in New York. It was an outstanding choice that we made. And we made it because we believe this is a great state for opportunity, for economic opportunity. We also believe it's a great state to raise a family in the area that I'm interested in education. As I mentioned before, I believe in local control and I believe in choice. So if you're a public school student, we have fantastic schools and school systems. If for whatever reason you're going to be a homeschool student, they go to a religious school, private school, that's an option as well, and that's supported and protected too. And I think all of those things should be strengthened and protected. And I think we're doing a great job in Ohio, and I hope it continues, and I want to be part of that.
And now, same question for Justice Kennedy.
Well, thank you for the question. I hope that young people and families see what I see, the beauty of Ohio, the opportunity, and prosperity. And those three things allow all of us to flourish in the great state of Ohio.
Stacy Brooks.
I love this question too, because I happen to talk about our region all the time to a lot of people. Obviously, I'm not originally from here, but moving here and still having family around and being able to get back to see them is a blessing. But I have found that, you know, the 4th district is made of 14 counties. So it's about the whole entire southeast quadrant of the state. I've practiced in a lot of those counties in my 14 years as an attorney, but getting out and getting into the communities, you see how the people really make these places what they are. Even during a pandemic, we see new businesses, we see people finding new ways to come together safely and build our community. I've been a part of a lot of community organizations, my church, a lot of local nonprofits, and I've mentored people. So I think there's just so much opportunity to do good that I don't know why you wouldn't want to live in this part of the state.
And now Judge Wilkin.
So the 4th district is an amazing district. I have met the most wonderful people I've obviously have never known before, who want to help, who want to be supportive. I can't even explain the overwhelming amount of support and wonderful people that I've met in the 4th district, which does consist of 14 counties. It goes from Highland County, which is where I live, over to Washington County, which is Marietta, up to Pickaway and Hocking County, and down to, you know, Scioto and Lawrence County. The history in the 4th district is amazing. You know, you have Chillicothe and Marietta, and the history that goes along with it is incredible, and it's very interesting. And the beauty of, you know, being on the river there in Marietta, also down in Ironton. I was actually in Ironton it was this week. I was down in Ironton, a new wedding venue owned by Rob Slagle. It's beautiful and amazing, a great place for a young couple to, you know, venture away to and get married. So I've had an amazing experience in the 4th district. We also have Hocking Hills. My family would travel to Hocking Hills a lot and go hiking. So again, the beauty, the history, and the amazing people of Ohio is what makes us so special. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we want to commend all today's participants for dedicating themselves to public service and outlining their visions for the state of Ohio and connecting with the voters of Lawrence County. And we'll conclude this forum with a 2-minute closing statement from each candidate. And we'll start with Brendan Shea.
Thank you again, and thank you for this opportunity. I believe a high quality education is vital for our young people, and not just for them. I believe it's vital for the survival of our constitutional republic. I look around and I'm concerned today that people are overly negative, overly down on our country. Yes, we have our flaws, we have our original sins, but I have always believed, I still believe that we are fundamentally a good nation, a good people. I do believe objectively we are the greatest nation in the history of the world. I want our young people to develop the virtue of patriotism. I want them to love our country as well. I don't see how we could survive if we have people coming through our schools not thinking that we're a worthy and worthwhile country to protect, to defend, to serve. And I want them ultimately to be prepared to graduate and go out into society as engaged citizens and as productive members, and to have a meaningful and wonderful life. So I look forward to hopefully serving the 17 counties in the 10th district and being of service on the State Board of Education. Thank you again.
Thank you. Mary Benninger.
Thank you for allowing me to be here this evening. I am just so proud of being a part of the education system in Ohio. My children laugh and say that has been my life, and it truly has been. It's been my entire career life, and now it continues into my retirement life, is to serve the children of the state of Ohio. I think it's so important for every child to be given the opportunity to have a quality education. I cannot imagine a better feeling than the feeling that any teacher has when you see your children, your students succeed in their attempts at showing just exactly how much they know and how much they've learned. I worked at a high school level and I work with special ed students. So our victories and our celebrations were maybe at times different than their regular ed colleagues. But we celebrated every single time we got the concepts right, that we had a victory, that we saw great progress. And that's what I want to continue to do for the system of education in Ohio. I want to be part of that celebrating of all the success that we can have in the future as we make that promise come true, that every child in the state of Ohio, no matter where they live, will get a quality education. They'll be given the same opportunities to succeed in life and to make a good life for themselves. It's not just about graduating, it's about being ready to continue to grow and to be successful in life once you graduate. So I thank you very much for this opportunity. I look forward to serving on the State Board of Education and representing this entire district. And I am so proud of our students. I just have to say at the end, our students make me so excited every single day when I see their accomplishments. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Judge Wilkin.
Again, I'm Judge Christy Wilkin. It's been an absolute honor to serve the 4th District Court of Appeals. And my goal is just to continue the work that I've been doing to maintain a conservative voice on the bench, to interpret the law as written. Again, I pledge that I will not legislate from the bench. And I also have a desire to engage and work off the bench as well, to be involved with the community. I met with the sheriff in Adams County, and he's started what he refers to as a junior boot camp, which is promoting the youth and educating them on anti-drugs and telling them, especially the kids of Appalachia, that, you know, maybe your mom or dad are in prison or rehab, but you have potential. And I want to be that person. That's my goal. That's the work I want to do off the bench. Again, it's just been an amazing experience, and I request your support this fall whenever you vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Justice Kennedy.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to be with all of you tonight, and thank you for this forum. I ask the voters for their vote and support this November, whether from the kitchen table or at a polling location. Think about the Supreme Court of Ohio as the court of last resort. Every case that comes across my desk touches your life in some way, shape, or form. I think what you want is someone to serve you who is dedicated, someone with 34 years of diverse service in the justice system. I began my career as a police officer in the city of Hamilton, enforcing the law and keeping the peace. I left law enforcement to put myself through law school and was a solo practitioner, and I solved the community's needs one family at a time in a variety of work. I spent 13 years on the trial court bench at the Court of Common Pleas in Butler County, and now I'm in my 8th year as a justice at the Supreme Court, honoring my limited role in government to uphold the law, not rewrite it or legislate from the bench. But the most compelling work I've ever done has been the work I've done off the bench, whether working with juveniles and community partners while in private practice, or helping those who became unemployed through no fault of their own in the economic downturn of 2008 and 9, help them find jobs and meaningful work for a livable wage as a trial court judge, or now as a justice, working for our veterans to help them who suffer from the invisible wounds of war find treatment instead of a jail cell, and to help raise cultural consciousness and work towards reentry for all. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today, and please vote for Kennedy on November 3rd.
Thank you. Stacy Brooks.
Thank you, and I appreciate the forum as well. Again, it's hard to be able to talk to folks in this day and age, and these forums and having them well done is very important so that voters can be educated. So I'm in this race because I have a passion for service. I have a passion for helping people. And that's not just something I say, it's also in my background. It's what I do. So I mentioned my foundation with legal aid, and obviously that was helping folks who don't have the means to hire a private attorney. So the work that I did there was protecting vulnerable people, protecting children, keeping them in their homes, helping folks have protection from domestic violence, helping people, helping veterans and seniors keep benefits. So that kind of work has stuck with me. I have a lot of titles in my resume that come from my work at Legal Aid. I mean, I've worked on legislation. I've been a mediator, as I said. I'm a solicitor. I'm a guardian ad litem representing children. But all of those things, you know, don't compare when you look at my resume to what I've done in my community. So with Legal Aid, I was a union president for our legal service workers. That was a leadership position that taught me a lot. I've been in leadership roles in my community and my church. I currently serve on a number of boards. I'm in the Lawyer to Lawyer mentoring program. I volunteer all across the 4th District with legal clinics. That's stuff I do every day. So it's not just something I'm talking about, but it's something I've done. It's in my heart. And it's part of that I'll bring to the bench. So I hope that voters will look at my experience, look at my background, and I think all of that demonstrates my values better than any kind of political promise I can make. So I enjoy this experience talking with you all tonight, and I encourage everyone to get to the polls.
Thank you. Councilman Otney?
Again, thank you for having me here tonight, for setting up this forum for our community. I live here in Scioto County. I'm personally aware of the issues that are affecting Lawrence County and Scioto County and communities up and down the river. I'm a husband and a father. I've lived here my entire life. Even when job opportunities tried to pull me away, I stayed here by choice because I know that we can't solve our problems by running away from them. I wanted to be a part of the solution in my community. I became a journalist. I worked for about 15 years in news writing and managing editor for our local community newspaper, where I got to cover so many wonderful stories of my community, to tell people's stories. But more than that, to help people hold their public officials accountable, to be a watchdog for our society and let people see what their public officials are doing, to hold them accountable and push for transparency. And those are qualities that are important in journalists, and they're important to me still I still hold them true as a member of my local community council, and I will carry them with me to the Ohio Senate. I'm going to fight for regular people. I'm going to fight for affordable health care, for better jobs and wages, and for community reinvestment to keep our dollars right here so local government funds aren't disappearing. We can keep those dollars at home to reinvest in our rural communities. And I'm proud to be endorsed by so many labor unions, teacher groups, parent groups, and regular people, real people, not the special interests. So I'm asking that you consider me for Ohio Senate District 14 when you vote on November 3rd. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Judge Jennifer Bruner, and I'm a candidate for the Ohio Supreme Court. I currently serve on Ohio's 10th District Court of Appeals located in Franklin County. My previous experience includes 17 years of private practice work, and I also served as a common pleas court judge in Franklin County, Ohio. I served as Ohio's first female Secretary of State, being awarded the bipartisan John F. Kennedy Profile and Courage Award for protecting Ohioans' rights to vote. I love public service, and I love Ohio. During my time as a common pleas court judge, I saw so many problems, and I saw how much drugs and alcohol and mental illness were related to each other and related to criminal activity. So I started the county's first adult felony drug court with the help of the Ohio Supreme Court in its specialized docket section. I saw lives change. I saw people get their families back. I saw people get jobs, get houses, and even as I campaigned later for the 10th District Court of Appeals where I now serve, I saw some of my drug court graduates giving back to the community in great ways. I've served overseas in the Republic of Serbia, in Egypt, and in Sri Lanka, doing rule of law work for the U.S. State Department through USAID. This work involved anti-corruption and judicial reform work, observing elections, and teaching at the Bar Association in Colombo, Sri Lanka. I learned so much that would help me understand the problems of Ohioans and what constitutes an issue of great public importance for the Ohio Supreme Court. Now, I know you're located in southern Ohio, and it's pretty rural down there, and I have a lot of familiarity with the area. You see, my grandparents grew up in Clark County, Ohio, and I spent many, many fine times with them at their farm in Clark County. But my grandfather came from Jackson County, Ohio, and I still remember my great-great-grandmother Ray and the times we had going to her farm. My husband Rick grew up on a farm in Columbiana County, and now we have a farm up there as well, and our grandkids just love it. I know Ohio's seen some tough times, and I want to help. I hope you give me the chance when you vote on Election Day, November 3rd. Now, just to add a little bit to what I have to say, I know that pictures are worth 1,000 words. So here's a quick 1-minute video to kind of show you where I've been and where I want to go. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Hi friends, I'm Congressman Bill Johnson, and I'm really sorry I couldn't be with you in person tonight, but I know you'll be hearing from lots of great candidates tonight, so I want to share some of my perspectives with you. And I promise to keep this brief and to the point. Even though I can't be there in person, I'm still listening to you, your families, your friends, and your neighbors as I crisscross this sprawling 18-county district that encompasses most of eastern and southeastern Ohio. I take the vitally important information you folks give me right here at home back to Washington, and I turn it into action, legislation that works for hardworking Americans like you. I'm proud to have authored 18 bills that have been signed into law, all designed to improve the quality of life for people in our region. We've made important strides in cutting government regulations and lowering taxes through the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that President Trump signed into law. And now the table is set to make progress in closing the urban-rural digital divide that has left so many in eastern and southeastern Ohio and throughout rural America without reliable access to high-speed internet service. Addressing this problem is long overdue, and this continues to be one of my top priorities as your representative. On the energy front, Ohio continues to be a leader in the responsible production of oil, natural gas, and coal. We no longer depend on the volatile Middle East for energy, and we're working on bringing manufacturing jobs that rely on low energy prices back home to the U.S. and back to Ohio. I'll continue leading on the House Energy and Commerce Committee to ensure that America remains the world's dominant energy leader, and that we do so responsibly. This energy renaissance has translated into some of the lowest unemployment in our region in decades. On the rioting and mayhem we've seen in cities across America, most recently in Louisville, Kentucky, the violence and lawlessness must stop, and we must find a way to bring Americans together. We must stop efforts to defund the police, and we must provide opportunities for our young people to learn the amazing history of our great nation, a story of progress toward that more perfect union and the value of serving their communities rather than destroying them. Folks, we've got a critically important presidential election on November 3rd, and we've got to stay the course to give President Donald Trump 4 more years. Joe Biden is on record saying that he'll raise our taxes, end domestic oil, gas, and coal production, and put major restrictions on our Second Amendment rights. These liberal policies mean fewer jobs here in our region. Contrast that with our Republican commitment to America, to restore our way of life by defeating the coronavirus, restoring law and order to America's cities, supporting law enforcement, protecting our First Amendment rights of free speech and religion, protecting our Second Amendment rights, and protecting the life of the unborn. To rebuild our economy by creating 10 million new jobs and holding China accountable for stealing our intellectual property and actively trying to destroy American jobs, and to renew the American dream by ensuring every student has the right to attend the school of their choice and to pursue the American dream on their own terms. My friends, now is not the time for more big government and less freedom. America is winning. Let's keep it going. In conclusion, I'm humbled and honored to represent and serve you. I look forward to continuing this journey together to help President Donald Trump advance his pro-economic growth, Keep America Great agenda. Thank you, and may God bless you, your families, and the United States of America.
Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Benjamin Mack. I'm in the Lawrence County Coroner. I'm seeking re-election and appreciate your vote this fall. Although I'm running unopposed, I wanted to take the opportunity just to share with you a few of our accomplishments as well as our continued vision in the Lawrence County Coroner's Office. I took over as coroner in 2018 when Dr. Hoffman retired and was elected that fall to continue to serve. I've served on the Ohio State Coroners Association State Board of Directors and have really focused on increasing the technology as well as the capabilities of our office. A few of the highlights are bringing our electronic medical record online through state funding, as well as improving the toxicology testing. Our old testing was a blood test that required at least 2 to 4 weeks. Turnaround time now, we utilize a rapid chromatography test that is actually needleless and turns around about 48 to 72 hours. That's allowed us to save quite a bit of money by avoiding some autopsies in certain situations, as well as giving us the ability to have those tests reimbursed through a state grant. One of our other highlights over the last 2 years was identifying the bell in the well, utilizing DNA results as well as forensic genealogy, and being able to provide the bell in the well final identity, and hopefully being able to move forward in that case. We've also established a new physical location in the Joint Response Operations Center, giving us a place to meet with families and provide just a little bit of a better sense of home for our office. I head the office with my two investigators, Drew Artis and Paul Bias, as well as Deputy Coroner Dr. Stacy Smith. We greatly appreciate your support and look forward to your vote this fall. If you have any questions, you can feel free to send us a message on our Lawrence County Coroner's Facebook page, or you can email me at lawrencecountycoroner@gmail.com. Again, thank you for this opportunity, and I greatly appreciate your support.
Hello, I'm Judy French, and for the past 8 years, I have had the privilege of serving the state of Ohio as a justice on the Ohio Supreme Court. In that time, I have cast votes in thousands of cases, and I have approached each one without a personal bias. I think judges have to be umpires. They have to call balls and strikes and not bring a particular viewpoint into the conflict. Before becoming a justice, I had been a judge on the Court of Appeals in Franklin County for 8 years. And before that, I served clients in government and in business, individuals, small businesses, corporations. And what I wanted for them and what they wanted was a stable judiciary, especially when it came to the Ohio Supreme Court. There was a time when we had an activist majority on the Ohio Supreme Court, and that activism created uncertainty, created higher legal fees, higher insurance costs, higher business costs. There is a cost to judicial activism. During a campaign, we talk a lot about judicial philosophy, which really goes to the way that a judge defines his or her role on the bench. Well, I define my role in a limited way. In deference to the other branches of government, I apply the law in every case. I don't make it up. But judges also have an obligation, a duty to make the judicial system better. I'm proud of the reforms that I've been a part of in the past 8 years. I'm proud to have been part of changes that brought greater access to the judicial system, making sure that even those underserved populations get the legal services that they need. One consistent message I hear from the business community is that we need more workers. And I'm proud to have been a part of some legal clinics that tried to do just that. Allowed those low-income workers to come in and for free get their driver's licenses reinstated, or helped get those old criminal convictions expunged, all in an effort to get those workers back to work. I've been a part of efforts to bring more legal resources to rural Ohio and to get those new lawyers into public service and help us serve those underserved populations. But there is more work to do. I'd like to see the judiciary become more efficient. If there's one thing I hear consistently from lawyers and their clients, is that the system just takes too long. I also hear that not everyone thinks the judicial system is fair. I sometimes hear that rich people get better results or that minorities don't get a fair shake. Well, I'd like to do something about those perceptions. I'd like to see more transparency. I support the implementation of a sentencing database that would collect information from every court in the state of Ohio. It would allow us to see all of the sentencings that are happening around the state. It's going to take a while, but I think in the end, it's something that we must do to bring more transparency to the judiciary and in the end, greater confidence in the judiciary. So my pledge to you is that I'm going to keep working to make the judicial system a better one. I'll continue to call balls and strikes, and I'll continue to take an appropriate role on the bench. I'm grateful to serve you as a justice on the Ohio Supreme Court. I am Judy French, and I ask for your vote and your support for re-election in the November election. Thank you.
Hello, this is Jason Stevens, State Representative for the 93rd District in the Ohio House of Representatives. The 93rd District is a big geographical area that includes parts of Vinton County, all of Jackson County, all of Gallia County, and most of the geographical area of Lawrence County. It is my honor to serve as your state representative. As you may or may not know, I was appointed roughly 1 year ago and have really enjoyed my service as your state representative. It's been a very interesting year, a lot of unpredictability. As we all know, 2020 certainly has been thus far, but I have enjoyed serving as your state rep. One of the most unpredictable things has been, of course, the coronavirus pandemic, and it has affected us in the state level as far as the economic response and the financial response. And I want to talk to you a little bit about that issue. As the federal government granted the states several $billions, the states decided what to do with it. And in cooperation with the governor's office, the state senate, and the House of Representatives, we were able to design a program that could help our local governments, our county governments, our city, villages, and even the townships were eligible. And what this funding did is help to enable these local governments to continue to provide services and to help them deal with the costs and the excess costs of dealing with the pandemic. And one of the things that I was very pleased with is that this program brought in millions of dollars just to Lawrence County alone, was set up so that it would be auditable and that it would be used for the correct purposes. And that was maybe not the most exciting thing, but it, I believe, has been very beneficial to our area just in the past few months. The other thing that has been important about the coronavirus response has brought up a lot of issues regarding health versus constitutional issues. And I believe those are important as well. And one of the bills that was signed by the governor and that was passed by the House and that I voted for was House Bill 272, which did two very important things. One is it prohibited a public official in Ohio from ever canceling an election again. And the second thing that it did was it prohibits a public official in Ohio from ever closing a house of worship. And I believe these are two very important things. And I believe also as we go forward and continue to deal with the pandemic on into the future and the fallout from that, I think it's important that we look at legislation that continues to protect our health, continues to protect our economy, but also continues to protect our constitutional rights. All those things are extremely important. There's also been a lot of other activity that I've been working on there in Columbus. Maybe not quite as exciting or as interesting as other issues, but they are important, and a lot of it focuses around local government and some of those things that are important. One of them is House Bill 450, which talks about transition of fiscal officers from one person to the next to require a checklist of items to be filled out, so that sometimes, you know, if a fiscal officer loses in an election or there's problems or whatnot, current law does not allow for any kind of transition certificate. So hopefully that would do that and bring about more transparency and fiscal responsibility at our local level, whether it be our schools, townships, villages, counties, all up and down the line. Also been working on helping seniors and veterans fight inflation and property taxes, helping farmers to deal with some of their property tax issues and some of the silly paperwork that they have to fill out sometimes. And the other thing with county issues is working on how to fund jail construction for smaller counties. And we'll be hopefully hearing more about that into the future. I would like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for allowing us to have this forum. It's not nearly as like it has been in the past, but I do appreciate the Chamber, the Ironton Tribune, and Armstrong Cable. And if you've watched this video all the way through, you get a star. I really appreciate it. You can check me out on Facebook if you would like. I have a Facebook page, State Representative Jason Stevens. And some would say those videos there are a little more exciting and interesting. And I try to keep people updated, you know, as far as what's going on. And on occasion, we'll have something that's fun. So, but anyway, again, my name is Jason Stevens, State Representative for the 93rd District. I certainly would appreciate your vote in this election this fall, and I truly do appreciate the honor of serving you and wanting to continue to give you a voice in Columbus. Thank you.
Hello,
I'm Brian Baldridge, your state representative here in the 90th District. The 90th District includes all of Adams County, all of Scioto County, and part of Lawrence County, which is in the southwest corner, which is the city of Ironton, Hanging Rock, Coal Grove, all of Hamilton, and a portion of Upper Township. It's been an honor to serve. This is my first term as state rep. A little bit about me. My wife and I, lifelong residents of Adams County. We have 2 grown children and a recent addition to our family of a granddaughter, Aubrey Jo. So I got to give her a shout out. So she's about 4 months old. So my background in government, I started a local volunteer fire department, and then township trustee, county commissioner, both the township and the county. I was on the state board of directors on both of those associations. And in 2018, I ran for the open seat for the 90th District and was successful. It's been a exciting first term for me in the legislature. Obviously, I was one of just a handful of folks who were put on the finance committee as a freshman. So this allowed me the opportunity to voice and stand up for Southern Ohio, whether it was the transportation budget that we worked through right out of the gate or into the regular general operating budget. And it was great to say the impacts that those budgets have on Southern Ohio. One of the positives, things that we were able to bring more monies back to local government in the transportation budget, changing the funding factor so that more is trickled down to the county, townships, villages, and obviously in the 90th District, a couple cities. So that was a great opportunity to voice my opinion on that. As we worked in through the budget, I was honored to be asked to be on a bipartisan bill, which was a regional concept to kinship and the kinship programs that are in place, and it expanded those. And the key component of that is we know here in Southern Ohio that we have been hit hard by the opioid crisis and the drug crisis, poverty. And, those type of situations, families, grandparents are raising children. And so this bill expanded that program, and it made it, it's improved the concept of kinship care. And I was proud to be on that. It was a successful bill that worked through very quickly, and it actually was added into the budget. And I want to touch on that subject just a little bit more, that there is a lot more work to be done. We've had tragedies in Southern Ohio dealing with our most vulnerable, our children. And we are currently and we'll be doing a lot of discussions. We have been working in the past and will be working in the future to make sure that we do everything possible to protect our most vulnerable, and that's our children here in Southern Ohio. As we move forward, I've always been a proponent, coming from local government, of the importance of infrastructure. Some areas in the 90th District have natural gas, others don't. And as our economic development partners here at the local level want to expand the economic development to bring jobs to Southern Ohio, those basic infrastructures that we lack, we have to fight for, we have to improve, and we have to grow our basic infrastructures. And natural gas is one of those. We know we have a great workforce. We know we have the ability to work. We have land to expand. But when it comes to those basic infrastructures, we have to continually grow those to build jobs here in Southern Ohio. And another basic infrastructure is broadband. And as we've worked through this pandemic, I've made the case in Columbus in committees stating that we've picked winners and losers in Ohio. Because unfortunately, as we worked through a bill, House Bill 13, which is a broadband bill, which has a lot of interest, bipartisan. It has money put in from the executive branch. But broadband in the 90th District, we looked at a map once in committee, and I said, we lack a lot of coverage, and either no coverage or very limited coverage of broadband. And as businesses and as folks worked from home, we were picking winners and losers because some people could not work from home. And then we look into our education process. As kids went home and were working or learning from home, some of those residents, some of those folks, some of those kids did not have broadband. And that is a key component of our basic infrastructures that we need to have here in Southern Ohio. So, but no, I am fighting each day, every day for Southern Ohio in the 90th District. I truly am honored and privileged to do that. I am on the ballot November 3rd. I am unopposed, but I would greatly, greatly appreciate your complimentary vote on November 3rd
And I wish you all to have a great, great day. Take care.
Thanks again, everyone, for attending. We really appreciate your participation, and good luck in the election.